Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're addressing a frequent topic of discussion among newcomers to Black Desert Online, its notoriously cluttered and overwhelming user interface. For many newcomers, navigating this interface feels like navigating a labyrinth. Reflecting on my initial journey into BDO, I was struck by the contrast. Here was a game with mesmerizing visuals and top-tier combat, yet burdened by a UI that felt more confusing than convenient. The situation indeed encapsulates a paradox, a game meticulously crafted for its beauty, yet marred by an interface so counterintuitive that it sullies the overall experience. In an ideal scenario, an in-game interface should seamlessly integrate players into the game environment, harmonizing immersive experiences with distinct combat cues. It's indeed perplexing then that Pearl Abyss chose to inundate the screen with such an excessive amount of details, particularly within the default configuration. Take, for instance, extraneous shortcuts such as those guiding to the Elvia realm, which might remain unnoticed by newcomers for extended periods. To compound this, there's a cascade of animations and notifications, sequences of dice rolls, notifications for rewards, and more. Moreover, the primary UI prominently presents a variety of non-combat elements encompassing account buffs, energy levels, and contribution points. Would these finer details not find a more fitting abode within designated windows, perhaps under character info? Such a strategic arrangement would ensure their ready accessibility without overwhelming the core UI. The first impression in any MMO is critically important. It's during these moments that players decide whether or not they want to invest time and energy into the game. Regrettably, BDO's current default UI often falls short for many newcomers. Upon logging in, they are immediately overwhelmed by a barrage of animated icons and notifications with no space to process the incoming flood of information. I advocate for a more intuitive design, an interface where secondary details are subtly positioned, perhaps within the game's escape menu. This isn't solely about user-friendliness. It also has the potential to attract more players to delve into the world of BDO. However, as I've delved deeper into the game, I've made a surprising discovery beneath the apparent clutter. In fact, BDO offers an extensive range of customization options that might even rival those found in many other MMOs. And intriguingly, these options are available without the need for third-party add-ons. Through minimal adjustments, players can easily sculpt an interface that's not only clean and aesthetically pleasing, but also highly functional. This revelation has taken me by surprise, as I had always assumed the game's UI was inherently cluttered and unchangeable. To uncover such a wealth of customization and potential has been truly eye-opening. And that's precisely what I'm eager to convey through this video, the actual realm of possibility when it comes to customizing BDO's UI. Now, rather than guiding you through each individual setting change, my intention here is to offer insights into the rationale behind my UI choices. I'll illustrate how I've refined various elements to amplify the sense of immersion within the game. As I transitioned towards a more minimalistic UI in BDO, I naturally had to devise ways to access crucial yet secondary features that were originally cluttering the primary UI. Therefore, alongside outlining my customization strategies, I'll also provide valuable tips on how I access these functions and information, such as account buffs and experience progress, without overburdening the main interface. I also want to preface that while I'm still on my journey toward BDO's endgame, my affinity for a neat and visually pleasing UI remains consistent across different games. In MMOs like WoW, where endgame content plays a significant role in my gameplay, a clutter-free UI isn't just about aesthetics. It genuinely enhances my performance, especially during intense combat situations. By centralizing critical combat data and eliminating distractions, I can react swiftly and efficiently. I intend to apply this same philosophy to my BDO UI customizations. To our veteran players, I'd love to hear your UI insights in the comments. The feedback many of you provided on my last video was truly enlightening. The knowledge and support from the BDO community have been heartwarming, and I'm deeply grateful. With that said, let's dive into today's topic. The core theme of this video should be abundantly clear, making informed choices about which UI elements to feature during gameplay. While these decisions are inherently subjective, they're crucial for balancing immersive gameplay with combat efficiency. My strategy is straightforward. I want my main interface to display only what's indispensable. This enables me to revel in the game's captivating graphics without compromising on combat prowess. Consequently, I choose to activate secondary interfaces on an as-needed basis instead of letting them permanently dominate the screen. For this reason, I've customized my primary UI to showcase a mere 4 elements: the minimap, chat, combat cluster, and buff list. These choices embody my twin goals: immersion and combat. As I alluded to earlier, despite not having ventured into the endgame, a journey that, I'm told, can span nearly a year, I find it hard to see the advantage of a cluttered interface, even in advanced combat scenarios. Many of these superfluous elements are merely redundant widgets or shortcuts to windows containing non-combat related information that players might consult only occasionally. And, as I've previously highlighted, while BDO is a relatively new experience for me, I've been engrossed in MMOs for an extensive period. In every MMO I engage with, I customize my UI to adhere to a consistent standard. It must be clean and aesthetically resonant with my preferences. I'm truly elated that BDO allows me the latitude to mirror this personalized UI design. However, before we delve into the primary UI elements I've activated, let's briefly touch upon the components I've decided to exclude and my rationale behind those decisions. First and foremost, let's address the major elements occupying screen space: the function button, menu button, and mount button. These primarily act as shortcuts to a variety of system menus and windows. Intriguingly, most of these can be conveniently accessed via the escape menu, which commendably consolidates a large portion of the game's windows and features. However, there are some notable exceptions. To me, many of these shortcuts are redundant. For instance, shortcuts like the cash shop and beauty shop can be accessed in 3 distinct ways. They largely contribute to the clutter, which is why I've chosen to deactivate them. Later on, I'll guide you on how to effectively access these windows, particularly those that are exclusive to these shortcut frames, such as the progress pass. Additionally, I'll show you how to configure frequently used functions within the escape menu's quick slot. Next, let's address the widgets that are enabled by default, starting with the quest logs. From my experience, my primary aids during questing have been the world map, the in-depth quest tab, which you can pull up using the O key, and the succinct overview provided by the minimap tooltip. Given these tools, the quest widgets come across as redundant. Upon examining the world map, you'll notice it's inundated with information. Such a deluge of details can be daunting for newcomers. For simplicity, I recommend trimming it down. For example, when questing, I make sure only the quest icon remains visible. Moreover, I've opted to turn off all other UI widgets as well, including the skill log, skill guide, kill notifications, item drop log, and game tips, as I find them more distracting than useful. Notably, I've created a dedicated chat tab to effectively monitor looted items, which, in my opinion, offers a more refined method of keeping track of loot. Turning our attention to the account buff and point information frames, these primarily showcase non-combat related metrics, such as optional subscription buff statuses, drop rates, Agris fever, energy points, contribution points, and experience progress. Given that these are not essential for combat and most players might only check them occasionally, I see no reason for them to be constantly displayed. Hence, I've decided to turn them off. while certain data like energy and contribution points can be viewed in your character's overview. Other details, as far as I'm aware, aren't readily available in the game. Later, I'll explain how to efficiently access this information when necessary. In my continued pursuit of a more immersive gaming experience, I've ventured into the settings, disabling various UI components unavailable in the Edit UI menu. Specifically, I've turned off my character's name and HP gauge, deeming them redundant. It's frustrating that the game doesn't offer more comprehensive options to mute all notifications. Unsolicited alerts, like a guildmate reaching level 18 or an item enhancement success, often pop up as unwarranted distractions. However, the game does allow for the silencing of most notifications. I've taken advantage of this, muting updates such as random players' enhancement results and auction market postings, which significantly enhances my gaming experience. Similarly, I've disabled features like pets, fairies, fellow players' encampments, and the in-game navigation guide, compared to games like WoW, where summoning just one non-combat pet is standard. This game's inclusion of up to 5 such pets, plus a fairy, seems overboard. The resulting visual clutter compromises the immersive environment I seek, leading me to hide these features. Moreover, the amity status, marked by prominent glowing rings near NPCs, only adds to screen clutter. Naturally, I've turned this feature off as well. Now, I'd like to delve into the frames I've chosen to display on my primary user interface. Aiming for minimalism, I believe these elements offer a balanced setup, suitable for both combat and immersive gameplay. This layout provides me with essential information for combat and questing, while still preserving a clean, minimalist UI that lets me savor the game's environment. My chosen frames include the minimap, chat box, buff list, and what I've labeled the combat cluster. This cluster encompasses the action bar, cooldown trackers, as well as the HP, MP, and stamina bars. Diving deeper into the combat cluster, I've positioned all combat-centric UI frames at the bottom center of the screen. This layout allows for quick access to crucial information during combat. In other MMOs, I often place similar skills and cooldown tracking frames in the center of the screen. Yet, in BDO, these trackers and action bars are somewhat rudimentary. They lack dynamic features like fading when out of combat, during cooldowns, or in the absence of certain buffs or debuffs. As they're always visible, to minimize distraction, I've opted to position them at the screen's bottom in this game. Next, the buff list, essential for BDO combat, is naturally enabled. Using the Berserker class as an example, it doesn't adhere to a strict combat rotation. Instead, its combat mechanics closely resemble those in Guild Wars 2, where peak performance is reliant on consistently maintaining temporary buffs through specific skill usage. Given the importance of this, I've kept the buff list enabled. I've positioned it in the top left corner of the screen, since its alignment is fixed from left to right. This layout appears the most organized. Moreover, the chat box is crucial for collating key information such as marketplace notifications, loot, and world chat. Though it might not be fundamental to combat, it definitely enhances my immersion in MMOs and injects life into the virtual realm. Within the chat settings, players can set up distinct windows to monitor different message types. Personally, I have dedicated windows for guild chat, loot, and general conversations. Lastly, I've enabled the minimap, a vital tool for navigation. As I mentioned earlier, hovering over it provides tooltips for active quests. Plus, when using auto-navigation to set a destination, I can manually trace the assigned path on the minimap. With only these components active, they form my primary UI, set to preset 1, which meets nearly all of my combat and questing needs. You've probably noticed by now that I have 2 additional presets, one tailored for minimalist exploration, or simply relaxing in town, and another for full UI access. The game's capability to allow players to seamlessly switch between multiple UI presets without a loading screen and even during combat is a feature I've quickly grown fond of. I'll discuss the specifics of setting up these presets later. Turning back to my primary UI, deactivating the cluttered frames significantly enhances the game's visual appeal and immersion. The shift from the default UI is genuinely striking, emphasizing that the often criticized cluttered interface of the game doesn't truly reflect its potential. With just a few modifications, players can experience a gaming environment that is not only engaging, but also boasts an interface more streamlined than many contemporary MMOs. Now that we've discussed which UI elements to keep and deactivate, let's explore how to access the deactivated functions and information when necessary. Begin with the escape menu, which you can think of as your command center. Although we've eliminated a significant portion of the default UI, these elements haven't disappeared. They've merely been relocated to this central hub. The integrated search function acts like an efficient assistant. If you're looking for a specific menu or function, type it in, and it'll direct you right there. BDO has impressively consolidated its systems and windows within this menu. However, curiously, some shortcuts, like the progression pass and tag characters, are absent. We'll delve into how to access these outside the escape menu shortly. The escape menu's quick slots can be thought of as a personalized command bar. I've tailored mine for immediate access to essential in-game assets, ranging from trusty pets and industrious workers to mystical fairies assisting in battles. While I've provided my quick slot setup as a point of reference, see it as a flexible template, one you can adjust to your playstyle. The Edit menu button facilitates these adjustments. In addition to personalized configurations, BDO has a suite of default UI key bindings. For instance, the die panel is linked to the J key, making certain features just a keystroke away. For a comprehensive list of these inherent shortcuts, navigate to the Information tab in the Escape menu. As I've highlighted previously, certain features and information, like the progression pass for standard characters and specific information, such as the family buff statuses and experience points, are absent in the Escape menu. So, what's my solution? As mentioned earlier, I use the game's UI presets. This feature allows me to effortlessly switch between 3 UIs. 1. Combat. 2. Minimalist for exploration. And 3. The preset with full UI access. When I need to access windows or features that are not available anywhere else but the shortcut buttons or information panels, I momentarily switch to preset 3. After obtaining the desired information or accessing crucial UI windows, I revert back to preset 1 or 2, depending on my activity. Additionally, there's a combat focus mode that only displays the vital frames from the combat cluster, deactivating everything else and ensuring an immersive combat experience. Another significant aspect that is most impressive and allows me to use these presets consistently is that players can assign shortcuts to these presets via the quick hotkey settings. For me, these presets are bound to the alternate keys 1 through 3. This is a standout feature in BDO and deserves praise. The convenience of having multiple UIs that are switchable offers greater flexibility when customizing the UI, especially to balance combat and immersion. While most MMOs allow you to save UI profiles, a notable advantage of BDO is that you can switch the UI without loading screens, even in the middle of combat. However, one downside is that the UI needs to be switched manually and can't adapt to different conditions automatically. I have provided my 3 UI profiles on the screen as an example to show you what I activated and deactivated and their positions. Feel free to use it as a reference. Next, I thought I should quickly mention a few more tips. For added efficiency, consider the horse summoning mechanism. By linking the horse calling horn to both my action bar and gaming mouse, I have, in effect, a virtual whistle at my fingertips. A single click and my steed is instantly by my side, ready to traverse the vast terrains of BDO. Furthermore, BDO's renewed focus on user convenience is evident in recent features like the Control F search and the inventory sort option. Need to locate a specific item among your numerous characters? A quick key combination reveals it. Disturbed by the disarray in your loot arrangement? Just one button click restores order. At first glance, BDO's default UI might seem cluttered and intimidating. However, as a returning player, I've discovered, and hope to demonstrate in this video, that the game offers a wealth of customization options. These allow players to craft a clean and aesthetically pleasing interface with just a few tweaks. The primary purpose of this video is to debunk common misconceptions about BDO's UI, particularly for newcomers to the game. I hope this showcase sheds light on the flexibility and potential inherent in the game's UI customization tools. It's essential to highlight the evolution of BDO's UI. Many of the customization options spotlighted today were not available when the game first launched. This continuous refinement is a testament to Pearl Abyss's commitment to innovation and enhancing the player experience. Their dedication to improving BDO, evidenced by regular UI and quality of life updates, is truly commendable. Given their unwavering drive for improvement, I remain optimistic about BDO's future. I anticipate further UI enhancements, potentially including dynamic combat interface updates and the integration of previously overlooked shortcuts and features within the escape menu. Such potential updates promise an exhilarating future and a richer gaming experience for all. If this video has highlighted the potential of BDO's UI and inspired you to refine your own, thereby enhancing your immersion in the game, then my mission is accomplished. For those who've gained fresh insights or perspectives on BDO's UI from this presentation, your likes and subscriptions are invaluable. They bolster the production of more content on BDO, other MMOs, and the expansive realm of open-world gaming. I'm always eager to engage with you in future content discussions. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.